अब की बार
नफरत के बाजार में मोहब्बत की दुकान खोल रहा हूं।
The battle for the 18th Lok Sabha has well and truly begun.
We have 97 crore registered voters.
This is the world's largest democracy, which makes this election the largest in the world.
Opinions are like flavors, diverse and sometimes unexpected. Take everything with a sprinkle of salt. We're all about sparking ideas, not giving pro advice. For that, you'll need to dial up the experts. We're good, but not flawless. If we goof up, we're human.
The dance of democracy might have started by now, by the time this podcast goes live. Now, this time there are about 100 crore people going to the polls to decide their future for the next 5 years. And this contest, the contest to win the hearts of the 100 crore population who is eligible to vote, is what we are trying to discuss today. I am honored by Shri Ritam Shah to join this. Sada, so start with your something.
As you said, the dance of democracy, I must say that at the same time, you will also be finding some dance of hypocrisy. And that dance of hypocrisy, one may also say the dark shadow of hypocrisy or the dark shadow of Indian politics. Now, someone would argue that when the anti-corruptionist Mr. Kejriwal is in jail, there cannot be any election bill. There cannot be bail for the election.
So-called anti-corruptionist.
No, so-called anti-corruption is the one thing that as I believe that we have to respect this passage that innocent until proven guilty, and mostly when they are politicians, because they are the one who has made the law and has granted you the right to say that I am innocent until proven guilty. So therefore, I believe that Kejriwal should enjoy that. But at the end of the day, one thing that always that I believe that one thing, that one point that is coming to my mind, that you see that I believe that the people of India should start digesting this fact that government is not only run from the office. It should also, it would be run from the jail, and therefore the government shall invest in making the jails good. So therefore, I trust that means on a serious note, that as we know that the conditions of the jail is not good, all that are there, but certainly at the end of the day, I believe that a pressing time has emerged for the politicians to now think over the matter that whether the jail should be made good or not. I trust this is the thing that should be now taken into account. Now on serious politics, we are having political manifestos. Now you tell me that what does your reading of political manifestos of the political parties tell you?
The manifestos in today's times have become just a thing that I have to abide by it. I have to put out a manifesto just for the name. Because anyways, the policies, the plans that they want to project, they have already put out that in the public forum. And if you see closely, the public is no more interested, or I don't think they were ever interested in the manifestos of parties. It is those educated people who sit in the AC rooms. It is for their look that what is coming up that they will be bringing in if they win, in the case they win. Publics were never interested. Whatever the public was interested in and is interested in, they get that directly from the parties. They put that out in the campaigns, they put out in the rallies, etc. They do all those things. Public is not that much involved as far as the manifestos are concerned.
In that sense of the term, I may also say that the public are not concerned with the criminal laws of the country, but suddenly when they are in jail, they have to take refuge under the law. So what I am saying that
Yes,
perhaps it may be immaterial for the Indian public to understand and appreciate what the political manifestos are, but my point is that whether a political party should be a political party who eventually comes into power should be held accountable, should be held accountable of what they have said in the political manifestos at the end of 5th year. Now, whether that accountability shall be enforced by the court or by the people court, because hey,
the
we have been
people's
told
court
that the people courts are
already
the last.
the people's court already enforces that, na? They, after the 5 year
But the
term,
people code,
they
you say
choose
that
whether their
the people code is unaware. But the
no,
people code
people's
is
court is
unaware. You
unaware,
have said that the
but
people code is
whatever
unaware of what is.
but whatever policy promises or whatever if I say uh, measures that they have taken while they being in 5 years of power, that they put the parties in accountable, that you see you have not done this, you have done this, you have violated this law, you have violated my rights, etc., etc.
At the end of the day, the public are only the public are only concerned about that how much money they are getting as previous, or how much grain rice they are getting as previous. At the end of the day, it is very
The
it is
court
it is it is a
court
no problem.
see
It is a no problem.
you mentioned about how courts can enforce these manifesto promises.
You know
It
whether there
is
is any whether
there,
there is
there is
any
any chance
scope,
at least.
whether it is a contract. At the
Huh,
end of the day, whether political manifestos can be said to be a contract.
contract cannot be, because
Because
see,
I tell you,
in
there
a
are two considerations.
contract there are two parties who are agree on the terms of the contract. Here it's not a
Correct.
contract. In fact, here it is a promise. I am promising you something. Whether I can deliver on that promise or not is it has to be taken into consideration when I come into power. Then I will see whether my
When I come
promises
into
are
power
reality or not.
when I come into power on the consideration of the vote given by the people, so therefore here the promise is that I will do this for you, and the consideration from the people's behalf is that I will work for you. So therefore it appears that there is reciprocation of promises.
Hmm.
There is, at the end of the day, I believe, as you say, that the parties, that the people are unaware. Perhaps the people are unaware of the document that there is a political manifesto, but can we say that the political manifestos or the policy indicated or set out in the political manifestos are not being orally said by the leaders when they address rallies?
Yes, yes.
Therefore, when they are making this statement that I will give you so and so percent, so suppose the political person is saying that look, I am going to give so and so services. I will give a job. So therefore, at the end of the day, whether the people after voting them into power are at all having the power to say that look, you have told me to this. You have told me that you will do this, but you are not doing this. Whether what is the remedy? Because if you are saying, I believe that we are not taking the political manifesto seriously. But if we are willing or saying
But it
that this
also
is what are
happens to be
laws and
that
we are
when the party is not in power, they many times don't realize the reality. When they come to power, then they realize, acha, this promise is not practically possible. Or during this
so therefore
limited time
there
period,
is
we
a
have not been able to
misrepresentation.
deliver on that promise.
So therefore a question may crop up that there is a misrepresentation, because when you say that the political party was not aware of what they are saying or what they are writing, Then therefore when they come to power, they come to know, oh, it cannot happen. There is dearth of resources. Therefore, if you are making a statement, therefore it may also be termed as misinformation. Therefore, the serious business of democracy get hampered. Gets hampered. So, what is the role of the political manifestos in a democratic country? If I may also say, if you see that, now, if I come to the content of the political manifestos, now you will find that a large section in every political party's manifesto is occupied by welfare schemes. Now, 75 years from independence, if you still have to provide a lot of subsidy to the people, then what is the development? Or is subsidy synonymous with development? Or one may argue, or one can question rather, whether growth is synonymous with development. So, I think some seriousness should be attached. You tell me one thing. We take a lot of pride that we have organized the G20. The opposition would argue that G20 is bound to be organized by India as it happens in a
Circle.
rotational basis. Yes, so every country is having the opportunity to organize that. So countering that, the government would argue it is not that we have organized, it is that how we have organized. Now, G20 is something which is good. India successfully organized all that. But if still we have to uplift people to what we have done, so is it a continuing process or there is an end to it? What do you say on that?
Sorry, I was not able to hear the last portion of what you said.
I am saying that what is your say on the issue that whether the subsidization of the people is a continuing process or is it going to end at someday, or we can hope that at least it can end?
Until and unless the deprived people exist in this country, subsidies, welfare programs have to exist. And I would say that it will be a forever cycle. The amount and the degree might vary. Do you think that subsidies are not in the developed countries? Do you think that welfare schemes are not there in the developed countries? They are there. The quantity, the degree, the amount of people those schemes or policies are serving, that might differ. But they are there. Because there will always be some kind of people who would be the deprived ones. It is the, if I say, the law of the nature. It has to be there.
So therefore, there has to be sweepers, there has to be cobblers, because if there is none, there we cannot get our job done. Now, in that view of the matter,
If the
I can tell you one
society,
thing from my personal
if your society becomes so rich that everybody wants to be in the upper levels of jobs, nobody wants to do the menial jobs, if I as such, then you import people from outside to do those menial jobs, as many Western countries and Middle Eastern countries are doing.
So subsidies. So the question that can be raised is this, that we are not on the issue that now we are taking it for granted that subsidy will exist. But what perhaps we should be concerned about is that subsidy may exist, subsidy is needed, but why the political parties are so much concerned about the subsidization? If their extensively concerned about subsidization that and even the ruling party. It is not that you see one thing, opposition is always having an agenda to say that look, the people are poor, there is unemployment, there may be in fact be unemployment, but they would exaggerate the things, I understand things. But even the ruling party's manifesto also shows that they are giving a lot of time of theirs in scripting, in framing the subsidization policy. Now, if the policy of subsidy is occupying so much paper or so much place in a political manifesto, so aren't we developed? Aren't we developed? Aren't we as a country have developed or come a long way? We say that we have come a long way. And perhaps the Supreme Court would be arguing that after 75 years of independence, the presumption is that we have come forward and no one is backward. And to show that there are backward people, you have to give evidence to show that they are backward. So therefore, this vicious cycle, so therefore it is becoming a vicious cycle of poverty. That one would get uplifted, another would climb down the ladder.
See, I see that, to my understanding, there are two kinds of subsidies or welfareism that applies to the country. One kind is that you give everything for free, which many opposition parties have been accused of, even BJP has been accused of. Freebies that we call them. On the other hand, there are certain subsidies, or even if I call them free commodities being provided on behalf of the government, they are not for you exercising those end materials, but you to ensure that you stand on your own feet. For example, have you read the BJP manifesto? Therein you might have seen they have promised a scheme called PM Surya Ghar Yojana, that they will subsidize solar electricity for people to establish on their homes, and thus making electricity free for them. It is different from what you see in many states like Delhi or somewhere else, where they say so and so amount of electricity is being given for free. So there is a difference of degree. One is that I am making you dependent on me by giving you subsidies, and second is I am making you independent of me by giving subsidies.
The BJP's manifesto, that particular solar thing, that is also for the promotion of the solar energy. It is also for the promotion of the solar energy. So that in that view of the matter, one may argue that the BJP is trying to promote solar energy by way of providing the subsidy. Subsidy is forming a huge chunk or huge part, or perhaps one may say that the political parties are laboring a lot to formulate that what kind of subsidy can be given. Now, moving forward, one may also take a note of this particular fact that democracy is dying in India. Now, I think this has been a hot topic in the TV channels, all that. Democracy is dying in India. Now,
this is the
one
tagline.
of the instances that has been
This is the
demonstrated.
tagline of Sonia Gandhi. Every other speech or letter she writes, democracy is dead, or is it dying?
So is it dying? And with that now I have been able to see that there is now a narrative that the judiciary is under threat. Now, as you know, that previously 600
Yesterday,
lawyers
21 judges
21,
also wrote to the
yes,
CJI.
also wrote to the CDI that yes. So therefore, you see one thing. First of all, when they say that democracy is dying. Now, when I say that democracy is dying, I do not only mean that the government of the day is tyrannical. I also say that the courts are also silent. Now, therefore, I believe that there is a shifting of burden, or perhaps I say that there is a sharing of this burden of democracy is dying, which the which is been projected or which is been put into service by also writing to the CJI that look, the judiciary is under threat. So therefore, I believe that there is a link between the judiciary is under threat and the democracy is dying. So therefore, I believe that it is some unholy nexus that I find. Now, what do you say? Do you think that there is some kind of connection?
This point has garnered a controversy also. You might have heard of the name of the YouTuber called Dhruv Rathee. Now he made a video on Modi being a dictator, and thus everybody started commenting about it, that how Narendra Modi government is having dictatorial um tendencies. But one thing I would say, which he explained in his later video also, that it is not that I am saying that India has become a dictatorship, but it is that dictatorship, democracy, all these concepts are of a scale. No particular thing can be called that this is where we are democracy, and we step a bit left or right, we become autocracy. Democracy can be on a scale of 1 to 10. The more better we are, the more we are moving towards a democratic country. The more we are worsening our condition, we are getting towards an autocratic country. So this democracy in danger, etc. Democracy has always been in danger. It is nothing new. It is not under the Modi government, which it has come under. It has been democracies. If I say the murder of democracy, that the word they use, it has happened under Nehru's era also. It has happened under Indira era also. It has happened under UPA era also, and it is happening under Modi era also. It has not been a new phenomenon that democratic norms are being violated, democracy is being not paid heed to, etc., etc. It has happened earlier. Is it right to happen? No. Should it be curtailed? Should these actions be curtailed? Yes. But painting it as a phenomenon that, oh, it is a new thing that has happened for the first time, that is not right.
No, democracy, so far as the democracy is concerned, now if the democracy is dying or if the democracy is in danger, then suddenly the courts in a country which is governed by rule of law but not the rule of man, then suddenly the courts now, although I believe that the laws have been made by the men who do not know the law, but still one may argue that it's a country governed by rule of law, so therefore the court shall intervene. Now suddenly I find that now the courts have been said that perhaps the courts have been attacked, and perhaps I believe that the courts, I do not know that where the courts have been attacked. Perhaps people may argue that the courts have not been able to pass a judgment in suddenly, according to them, the court has not been able to, the Supreme Court of this country has not been able to pass a desirable judgment in the Kashmir case, in the Article 370 case, whereas this country has not been able to pass a judgment in the demonetization case, and therefore therefore the courts are not functioning all that they're saying. But my point is, I find now you didn't answer my this question. I find that democracy is in danger. This statement cannot be wholly attributed to the government of the day or the political party in power. The court has to also take the burden. Now,
In the courts, if you
to
see,
inform the court, yes,
primarily in the lower courts, not the high courts or the Supreme Courts, there is still a large level of independency available in those places. In the lower courts, it is what we can say that they are being threatened, they are under danger, etc., etc. That is a fair argument to say, and it is not something new. Also, again,
it is the condition of the trial court, the condition of the trial court is been appreciated by the CJI, the present CJI, as that the condition of the trial court is that the trial court judges are intimidated. They are feeling threatened to grant bail. No, that is an understood affair, and certainly I believe that perhaps the Supreme Court of this country would be working for that. But certainly I am not on that. I am on this I am on this aspect that perhaps the shifting of burden. Now, when you say that democracy is dying, now this statement that democracy is dying has been ventilated or has been attributed to the functioning of the government of the day. Now, I find that when you say that democracy is dying, then certainly you also say that the court functions are also diluted. Now, when you say that the court functions are also diluted, then certainly the court should also. Now, certainly you tell me one thing, that when I say that democracy is dying, do not I impliedly say that that means that the court functions are also dying, the courts are not able to function. So if I am not making this statement, now I believe that some people are reminding the court that look, the courts are also feeling threatened. So therefore the court shall issue a statement saying that no, democracy is not dying. Democracy is not dying. The court shall say that. How statement should come? You tell me one thing. When
The
the
CGI and all
government of
these
the day is not
people,
functioning.
they should not be paying heed to these letters or appeals that are being made.
Hello, why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they? The letters are not written by any Tom, Dick and Harry. Those letters are written by the judges, Supreme Court judges. The letters are written by the
Now
Supreme Court judges.
you check
So
that
my son,
you check that 600 lawyers letter. I have not checked the appeal that the 21 judges, ex-judges have made, but the 600 lawyers that have written, what was their concern? That certain parties who have political affiliations, they have been speaking about the courts outside the courts and putting their political agenda before the court's platform, etc., etc. Now that these things, if somebody is making such statement, now you are getting offended by that, saying that courts are being threatened. This is a typical mentality that I see in the courts, not just confined to the judges, but even to the lawyers. That anybody criticizes you, it is contempt. I shall not bear anything.
you see one thing, this idea that the matters which are having political favor are being brought to the court. Now we all know that the electoral bond case, it was having a political flavor, it was a political agenda, but at the end of the day, whether the legal rights are at question or not, this is the fundamental point. You tell me one thing, that the Ram Janmabhoomi case, it was actually in fact a religious agenda. But the court dealt with the matter from the point of view of the fact that whether any legal right exists in favor of party A or party B, that's the simple thing the court
Yes.
shall do. Whether Article 370 has been in the political manifesto of the BJP or no, that is not the concern of the court. The court will see that whether the Article 370 has been amended in a way not to the law. That's the simple thing. End of the matter. We don't want to go further. Now, my point is this, that when the judges write to the court saying that the judiciary data is being vilified, if these are the statements made by the judges, then I am just trying to know that then no, should the Supreme Court come and say, no, we believe that the constitution is intact, it is the democracy not dying. Now, should there should be any spokesperson of the judiciary? Everyone is having
The spokesperson of judiciary
Everyone.
is
The
the
legislature.
CGI.
No, there is no dedicated post. It is understood that the CGI is the captain, he is the captain of the ship, and therefore he shall take the burn, all that. So at the end of the day, that now the time has come for us to have spokesperson of the judiciary, who will speak the mind, who will counter this allegation?
If that happens, then
Whether we have that's it.
he will be earning his salary without having to do much work. Every 6 months he has to give a statement. That's it.
No, you are saying 6 months. I am saying one day, every day. Every day the judiciary chief shall come, the spokesperson should come and counter the allegations ventilated. Whether this is the way, whether this should be the way, whether because you see one thing, the judiciary does not interact. Nowadays we have been able to see that they are interacting, but originally or naturally or generally they don't interact so much. So therefore what happens is you can say a lot about it. And it is also not possible to write in a judgment many things which a judge wants to write. Which a judge wants not possible. Now whether there shall be a spokesperson in the judiciary who would be countering these allegations or now how do you see this?
I see this as a faltu exercise that a person would be defending the judiciary. Judiciary does not have to defend itself. Their defense is
This
their
is a
judgments, their
conventional
orders.
idea that
No, it is a true idea
first of all
that
we have to know
ideas are dictated by their orders, their judgments. Now, I don't say that
no one understands. No, you have to also appreciate the fact that their ideas are communicated by the judgment which common people don't understand.
but
Which common people don't understand.
they also time and again are giving interviews, etc. So that
No,
happens.
time and again interviews is one thing. CGI, yes, they are giving now. So therefore, there is a de facto spokesperson. So therefore, they are de facto indulging in countering the allegations. I believe that on the first day of January 2024, the present CJI gave an interview saying or countering that why allocation of cases should be left with the discretion of the CJI
Hmm.
in the Supreme Court. So therefore, there is de facto assumption of a media person. What the media person does,
But
this
the
is already been assumed.
CGI is doing a good job.
So CJI is doing a good job. So why not? Why not the CJI shall delegate this power to a person who knows this, who has
See,
read the media, who is good in communication, who is good in communication skills.
if you are saying that CGI is not in good in communication, I don't know. But
No, I am not saying no. I am saying a person who has learned, who has done a course in mass communication, all that. He has
but
done
a
that.
person,
All that. It's only.
a person who would
Our prime
do those
minister,
things, he
our
would
prime
be,
minister is also a good communicator,
huh?
but still he is having media advisor. So are you saying that the CGI
There
is
are certain
having a
jobs
media
that he has to
advisor?
delegate because it is not possible for him to come out every day and give a statement to the media ki acha eta hoyeche eta
So
bhul eta
therefore
achi.
spokesperson. So therefore spokesperson. Therefore the spokesperson arises. The need for spokesperson.
Acha, let that be aside.
You see one thing.
Acha, let that be
No,
aside.
you see. No, you see one thing. Executive saying something. The spokesperson of the executive is saying something, which is being countered by the court. Now, this is the tension. Democracy is all about tension. This tension should be there.
Now let us
This
come
should
to
be there.
the works of the government and the actions of the opposition till so far in these 5 years. What would be your assessment to be the biggest achievements or the biggest failures of the BJP government?
Now, you see that if I go on to say that what have been the achievements of the BJP government or what have been the failures of them, then perhaps I may be branded, I may be labeled, that's apart. But I would like to understand for myself that what should a voter see, or what should be the considerations of a voter when he or she is going to vote. Now today you are having a government in power or political party in power who knows how to present itself, who knows how to take the ranks of India to higher marks. Now one may argue that in press freedom index India is languishing behind. Hunger index Bangladesh is better or Pakistan is better. Someone may argue like that.
Hunger index is
Someone may
a bit
argue.
flawed. That I would say.
Maybe. I am saying all this as a caveat, saying that all these arguments can be made. But what I can understand that this government or this political party in power knows how to present India at the highest state, or how to present the case of India to the how to take the case of India at the highest pedestal possible. So therefore, on that count, I believe that this political party in power is having the potential to make the people take a lot of pride in its country. I believe that that government has done. Now, what is inside the pudding? What is behind the curtains? What is there behind the glamorous? I think that needs to be understood. Now, I must ask this question to myself, that how do you reconcile between industrialization and agriculture? How do you deal with the fact that when you need to acquire the agricultural land for the purpose of establishing an industry, how do you reconcile between these two things? I believe that we have not gotten an answer. This very question, I believe, that has troubled India from the very inception of our constitution, of our country. Very inception. How do you deal with industrialization at one end and the agriculture at another end? At one end, you are saying that there would be startups, there would be startups. Now, okay, startups are there all that. At the other end, you are subsidizing the farming, the agriculture. You are doing. On the other hand, you are arguing that environment shall be protected. But environment cannot be at all be fully protected when there would be a lot of industry. So then you are saying green energy. Then you are saying talking about electric vehicles. Now I believe that we have not been able to find an answer. I think so. And this has been, you can say, failure or the inability of the government or the Indian people from the very first day of 26 Jan 1960. How do you reconcile these conflicting ideas, this conflicting interests? You have to take a farm law back. You have to take a farm law back. You may argue that the farm laws were good, but suddenly we have not been able to communicate why. The Prime Minister said that I am taking back the farm laws in the interest of the country. Now, what is the interest of the country? Why the interest of the country is not defined anywhere? Who defines it?
Interest is
The sovereignty of the country.
an interest. The term interest of the country it is true that it is a vague term, because it adopts itself according to the situations it is dealing with.
The problem is this, that I tell you, the sovereignty of the country, in my understanding, is not merely that all the states are together. I believe that the sovereignty of the country is also to some extent impacted when there is lack of understanding between the state and the center. The integrity, the unity of the country, I believe that is also at stake and impacted when the state and the union is at loggerheads, and for that the constitution says that go to the Supreme Court, the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Now, the very attempt or the very endeavor or the very act of saying that the sovereignty of this term cannot be defined because if I define it, it would be having a restrictive meaning. Now, this I believe then you define the sovereignty of India in a context. You define the interest of India when you say that I am withdrawing the formal law. You define that what is the interest of India in that context.
At that time, the interest would have been security and
Yes, secure.
at the non-willingness of the farmers.
If you see one thing, if the non-willingness of the farmer can impact the interest of this country, then I can tomorrow argue that a state which is against the center, one may argue that the state is functioning at the detriment of the country. Now there comes the problem. If you merely say that the agitation by the
That has
farmers
to
was
be
at the detriment of the country, then certainly
that has to be seen in the context as to whether the policy or the step by the center, which is being opposed by the state, or in this case opposed by the farmers, that is practically on a on a part to do the to improve the lives of the people. It's like, for example, you are aware that the policy matters cannot be taken up to court, but whenever a law is framed by the parliament or any legislature, and the court delves into it, seeing whether the law is constitutional, unconstitutional, etc., etc., it also delves into the matter that whatever the law promises, whether it delivers on it or not, and whether that promise is legitimately beneficial for the people or not. The beneficiality is the interest. You might say
then
that
that is the reason now.
at time the farm laws may be beneficial, but as there was non-acceptance, this and then the security matter became more serious a concern for the government to take into consideration than the benefit of the farmers.
The interest of the country, the problem I am telling you or I am trying to express to you that the problem is that when you leave the interest of the country, the definition, now I tell you something, when you see the freedom of speech article of our constitution, you will see that the freedom of speech can be restricted on the ground of the sovereignty, integrity, all that, it can be restricted. But the problem is this, when there is no relaxation, no principal governor, you tell me it will be one thing. The court says that there is something called constitutional morality. Now, certainly this constitutional morality has been evolved by the state, it has been developed by the state, sorry, the court. So therefore, my point over here is this, when you do not give certain guidelines as to how you will deal with the sovereignty, you tell me one thing, when you go out from your home, you are having 20 ways or 20 paths which you can follow to reach your destination. So therefore, I believe that there should be guiding path. The court would be saying that, look, the preamble is the guiding path for us. But certainly, if you say that the preamble is the guiding path for us, then certainly one may really argue that if India is a sovereign country, then why, without taking the permission of India, the executive is having the power to give away land to foreign countries? Or is there any type of what they say that freezing of the sovereignty of the people after the constitution has been made, there has been a freezing of the sovereignty of the people in the sense that the people no more can change the nature of the constitution, cannot change the nature of the government. Can I say that the parliamentary democracy is yet to stay in India for all time to come?
I can say that might not be a true thing. that parliamentary democracy might not stay forever, because if you see, the very constitution does not grant the right to vote as a fundamental right. When it says that your voting is not a fundamental right, how can you ensure that parliamentary democracy shall be a cornerstone of this constitution? So
Now I tell
there
you
is a
one thing,
bit of
that there was a
flexibility.
huge deliberation. I must tell you that there was a huge deliberation on this aspect, that whether right to vote shall be a part of the part 3 or not. Ultimately, it was held that under part 3, the right to vote shall not be there. It shall be there in form of a statutory right. I am not been able to recall at this moment that what was the underlying reason for not incorporating the right to vote. But I ask you this question, that why right to vote has become fundamental. Now you tell me one thing, can tomorrow the government say that there shall be no? Can the government say, or can the government by any parliamentary statute say that now from today the voting right of the people stand extinguished? If the answer is no, then certainly it is a fundamental right. It is a basic feature of the constitution. You see one thing, that the right to vote, perhaps, if I am not wrong, the right to vote has not been made a fundamental right, because the right to vote is subject to eventualities, namely that if you are in jail, then certainly you don't have the right to vote. If you are a convicted person,
Uh,
perhaps you will not be able to
restrictions could have been there.
participate in the democracy. Restrictions could have been there, but appreciate the fact that the right to life even attains in jail.
Ah.
Your right to life, you can argue today, tomorrow court, that the jailing conditions are such that I want to go out from the jail, and it did happen. It did happen during the times of Corona, that some people were granted some kind of power. So therefore, fundamental rights are having that kind of force. You may even argue that you are having the right to freedom of speech in the jail, namely that you can protest against the tyranny of the warden. But
So,
certainly you cannot say tomorrow that you are having the right to vote.
so as a conclusion, we can say on this matter that until and unless you shut down the courts, you can't do away with democracy, elections, or this constitution at all.
Perhaps it is the correct thing, that suppose, can I argue that from tomorrow there would be no court? Now, and therefore the court has very strictly said that a lawyer does not have a right to do strike. A lawyer does not have the right to say that I will not appear before the court, and therefore, but this is not followed. This is not followed. So therefore, the point is this: democracy in India can never die. And therefore they say he is dying. It may be that there may be some kind of
Decline can
upswing,
happen.
sometimes some kind of it is all.
Improvements can
But
happen, because it is always said that democracy is a thing which is not perfect. It is always evolving, for the better or for the worse, we
now
can see.
someday, until the electoral bond judgment was passed by the Supreme Court, everyone is saying that the Supreme Court is not independent. They are not fiercely fighting for the
That
rights. But suddenly, when the
that
judgment came,
that was for the key.
position.
Until unless you are in my favor, I will abuse you. That's the phenomenon there.
That is the
So
go towards the end of
always these calls for democracy being in danger, courts being in danger, shall not be taken seriously all the time.
I believe that in a democracy, everyone should. I believe I can say one thing. If you want to fly, you have to be light. You cannot be heavy. And I trust in a democracy, if you want to fly, you have to be light. And for being light in weight and in everything, you first need to take yourself lightly, but not serious.
Hmm.
I think that everyone has to do. But there is a lot of heaviness in us. And I believe that it's a human nature, that we are very heavy. that we take ourselves so seriously. We are the judge, we are the prime minister, we are the minister. At the end of the day, if Kejriwal can argue, let the law take its course. I do not say that you give me an early hearing.
Hmm.
I say that by not participating in the election, there would be no harm because of the fact that the people know who I am. People know. I have been the chief minister of Delhi for more than 5 years. I trust him. He has been the chief minister for Delhi for more than 5 years. So therefore, the people know who am I. So it doesn't matter.
Also, the case is also there that there has been no mass protests in favor of Kejriwal, other than Aam Aadmi people themselves.
You have to appreciate one fact in Delhi: the police lie with the
The
whether you will
police,
get the permission or not. It lie with the central government.
the police also lied with the center long ago also. But
Long ago
Aam
also,
Aadmi
but
Party,
can
Aam
you say,
Aadmi Party has been able to
can you tell
manage
me?
things.
But at that time, Aam Aadmi Party was trying to convince
No, no.
people that the political
Even in
power, that the
even in
people in power
even
are corrupt.
even
But
even
now they have to say that Kejriwal is not corrupt.
even
You
in
know, the
even in
things are different. The
case
two things are different.
even in case when they say that the LG is against us, then also I can say that they
Hmm.
had accommodated a lot of support for them, that LG is doing wrong. But
Hmm.
this time it is not happening, I see.
This is not happening because I am telling you the problem with the Aam Aadmi Party now is that previously the Aam Aadmi Party said that every political persons are corrupt. But now they have to say our leader is not corrupt. It's a different thing. It's antithetical. So that is the problem that we are facing. You have to appreciate the whole picture. I could have understood if Kejriwal has been jailed for some reason of but Kejriwal is said to be a corrupt. Allegation is corruption, money laundering. The very thing for which he protested, he became the chief minister. All happened. Now he is in jail for that. Always not convicted.
Yes.
But suddenly the perception is that yes, the perception is that. So that's right. That is politics. In India, that is the politics. You see,
Many people are
Bharat,
also comparing Kejriwal with other politicians. That see, whenever allegations have been levied on several other politicians, corruption allegations, they have left the post and they have cooperated with the agencies regarding that. Unlike Kejriwal, who is neither leaving his post, also nor cooperating with the agencies, also making agitations.
agitations, and I must tell you one thing that if Barack Obama, the former president of America, can get the Nobel Peace Prize after attacking Iraq, Iran, so that's not anything can happen. In the world of politics, anything can happen. Tomorrow, you can find that the BJP would become,
Hmm.
the BJP political party would become the champion of minority rights. It can happen. At the and they are at the first and the first community of that minority would be Muslims. Muslims will be the first to say so. In
A
politics,
very
you have
surprising thing
peace,
you
you
are
are for all.
mentioning.
No, it's not for all. No. Had Kejriwal
North
the
and
people
South,
had ever expected that Kejriwal would be jailed.
North and South do not attract each other. That is what the case here.
Northern, but certainly said you have to, but said in politics, capitalism can mix with communism that has been shown by China. A combination of capitalism and communism can come to, there can be cross fertilization. So therefore, you never know. You never know what is going to happen.
Acha, as we are mentioning about Kejriwal, let us take a broader look at the opposition as a whole. How would you
Hmm.
how would you check out for their performances? And what are the
The farmer means
chances?
is only one sentence. Only
What
one
are
sentence.
their what are the chances in these elections?
Although I am, you see one thing, I am not a political analyst, but from a voter's perspective, I can say in only one sentence, you are going into the 2024 election with a symbolic opposition. A
But
symbol,
but but but
a
what
symbol
but
opposition.
but
There is
what
no
but what
opposition.
is there but
The
what is
country is oppositionless.
what has been their failures? I like for example, one failure they themselves count is the media. They blame on the media that media is not supportive of us. But there have been various aspects of their own actions which have been the biggest detriment. They have been the biggest dent on their careers.
The end of the day, you see what I believe that after 2014, the India is now trying to say that we are going to be the superpower. Now everyone in the government, every political party who is in power, suddenly in the state when the
Hmm.
BJP political party is in power, they are trying to project India as the next superpower. Now, when the people are being fed with this idea that we are going to be the next superpower, I believe that when Congress party or any political party for that matter would come and argue that we are a poor country, we are an agrarian country, we cannot do good, we cannot do that, all kind of negativity,
Hmm.
then certainly people would be irritated by you. But at the end of the day, if anyone is trying to be as good as
Keep
if
in
you are
mind,
trying to be, if
I
you are
believe you will be getting an offer from the BJP for contesting from Jadavpur.
no, no, you see one thing, I must tell you one thing. I started by saying that the BJP is a great presenter. They are presenting the India as a country to the highest pedestal possible. But the fundamental point I believe is this that the opposition is not appreciating that India has improved its stature.
Hmm.
India has indeed improved its stature. That the opposition is not trying to acknowledge. Now, if they are not trying to acknowledge this particular fact, now you tell me one thing
Now
that it is
they are
first of its time
acknowledging
that the Prime
they are
Minister of India.
acknowledging, but silently.
Now,
I
how they
read
are acknowledging?
I read their thing in the manifesto, the Nyay Patra as they have called it. You see, on the foreign policy matters, Motamati they are on the lines which BJP is doing. On certain things like Israel, Gaza, and some other
On
matters, they are
foreign policy is
diverging,
always confusing.
and on environment matters they are also on the same line. On the political fields, on the political aspects, welfareism, there they diverge.
No,
On economics
foreign
also.
policy, every. Now, you tell me one thing that foreign policy as regards China, as regards Pakistan is going to be the same, considering that the foreign policy is all about practicalities, it is all about.
Regarding Pakistan, they said until unless Pakistan does away with his terrorism, we will not talk with him. Same
Okay,
policy as BJP.
I must tell you one thing that first of all, I believe that is one thing that we believe that in the common, in the perception of the common people, the foreign policy starts with Pakistan and end with Pakistan. If you fire bullets at Pakistan, they will say you have done a great job. If you don't understand this always. You see one thing what I believe in is this that India has grown into stature. There is no doubt about it. And
Hmm.
perhaps the political parties are not appreciating that and they are trying to empowerize India. They are trying that the people are hungry. And people are hungry. We are hungry. Don't
Hmm.
forget. We are hungry. At the end of the day, the fundamental question is that whether that hungriness or that hunger is being addressed by the government of the day, and perhaps it is not possible for the government of the day in these years, or perhaps the 75 years time is the too late a time. Because the Congress has to answer this question that what you were doing for 52 years when you were in power on majority. 2010, 2005, you were in power, but you
Hmm.
were in power on coalition. Now, certainly, when you were power in a full-fledged, majority. What you were, why you were not been able to address this problem. So therefore, the Congress has to answer a lot. So it is better that you acknowledge that India has grown into stature. But what is the condition of the villages in India? What is the condition of the criminal justice system in India?
And,
Why people are not getting paid?
and this I see both BJP and Congress have laid a great emphasis on the poor state of the society. If I rename them as the other backward classes, sorry, OBC. Their attention is great. They are putting a great attention on OBC classes, seeing that if we garner their votes, then we will be able to get a large amount of numbers in the parliament. Because you see, several promised schemes are directly addressed towards the tribals, towards the OBC category people, whether it is women, whether it is the aged people, whether it is. But I don't see much substantial promises regarding the youth. The youth regarding them, the promises are basically a bit not clear in their matter. What they want to deliver, they say
Yes. I must tell you one thing, that I think that nobody is addressing. You will be finding that the political manifestos of the political parties are inundated with how they will be dealing with the other backward classes or the poor community. But no one is willing to address the fact that why the richer people are not coming out from their house and voting. Why there is a class of people in India still in existence who believe that by voting nothing will happen in their life. There is a class, there is a very politically sensitive class. They understand politics, they understand growth, but they say that what is the need for voting the people? Because at the end of the day, we are doing our corporate jobs. At the end of the day, we are doing our chores, and therefore we do not need any political party. They are not subsidized. They don't want subsidy. They are living on their own. I believe that you have to target also that, because I think that class of the Indian people is still untouched. Still untouched. And I believe that the political party, perhaps BJP is trying to address the fact of addressing the middle class people. The middle class people say that whosoever comes into power, we will be at our own status. Now I trust that I believe that perhaps the BJP is trying to address that particular phenomenon, but still we have to see it. But I think this should be taken into account by political parties. 2020 आपकी बार चार सौ पार people are saying
not 400 par or not, that is a thing to think about or skepticize.
And you also and someone would also argue that Congress is a 40 seat darkar.
Yes, for them it is for the Congress party and the other opposition party. For them it is a matter of life and death. It is not a matter of life or death. It is a matter of life and death.
They have already died. They have already died. What you were saying, you can say rebirth. That's a different thing. But they have already died. So sir, you end the thing, sir.
Yes. So
by giving a speech. By giving a speech. 5 minutes का speech दे दो कुछ.
No, Maharaj, I am not a speech person. I am not a speaker like Modi, Vajpayee, or any great people. I am saying that I can only put out this thing, that for the opposition, it has to be kept in mind that development has happened. India has gone forward, and it is not worth to present saying that we have not achieved anything, because ultimately, even in their own policy making, they are incorporating things that that have been done by the present government. They are including those things in their own policy making at the state level also, or in their promises for the this elections. And for the BJP, they have to look at the matter that, see, it is not that BJP is in power solely on the basis of Hindu-Muslim. My understanding says that there are two groups of BJP voters. One who are hardcore BJP people who have subscribed to the BJP's ideology. And one aspect of that ideology, and a bigger aspect of that ideology, is Hindu-Muslim conflict. But there are the majority of voters for the BJP who are currently with the BJP, they are in the name of Modi. They are currently in the name of the development that he has promised and he has delivered. So instead of hypering themselves on that Hindu-Muslim agenda, they shall focus on this aspect of this. Because if you do that, continue doing that, you are garnering a bad name for your own self, giving a chance to your opposition कि से हाँ हमको गाली दो. So I would say there is
हमको गाली मारो.
they are getting abuses for that for those things. There was a thing where the Congress said in the Karnataka elections, I believe, or Telangana, that we will ban the Bajrang Dal. Narendra Modi made that as a matter that they are abusing Bajrang Bali. Now see, what do we say? So that's what I would like to mention. Stay in touch with ThinkTalkTribe and keep watching us and reading us on the drain. Dhanyavad.